Okay, that's a little bit better. I can see myself on the screen. I can see what I'm talking about. I will try to figure out what's going on because I've been trying to log on since quite a while ago. Obviously, this is not my area of specialty. I'm not really a tech person, so I've had a little bit shares of my own struggles for the last couple of minutes, and I apologize if anybody was here earlier on. I was a bit late because obviously the issues that I was facing to try and get online. So today is one of those days that I'm excited about these challenges. I've been saying to you guys, I've been inviting you to come and do this challenge together with me because I strongly believe that it is a time and it's a moment that I'm inviting you guys into my personal life. I'm inviting you guys into my personal space. This is something I've been doing for a good chunk of time. A little bit, maybe I'll talk about a little bit about myself, and then after that, I will be able to go into what I wanted to share about today. I heard a couple of slides, but obviously, because of all the issues that I've heard trying to log on, I'm not going to try and make myself tech savvy today. So I'm just going to talk without those slides, and then hopefully tomorrow I will have figured out some of the issues that I've heard today, and that will enable me to be able to kind of in a way serve you guys better. So just a little bit about myself, really. Some of you may already know me, some of you may not know me at all, which is completely fine. If you know me, it depends on which part of me that you know, which angle and which perspective of me that you know. If you don't know me, my name is Claire, as already mentioned before, or in some of the videos that I've posted. I am a registered nutritionist and I live and work currently in England. So obviously, this is where I am recording this from. And it is around 5 p.m. here. That's why I said I'll try to come on online around 5 p.m. UK time, obviously, because I've got other commitments as well. So today, the reason why I'm just coming online was to talk to you guys and to share with you guys what really my life has been for a couple of years now. A little bit story back to it. So, like a couple of years back, I've always been somebody who's always been interested in exercises. So, when I was studying back in Kenya, like so many years ago, I was at Egerton University. And when I was at the university, for those guys that know me, we used to have this stadium that I loved to wake up in the morning and I will go up for a little run after I've gone for my morning prayers. And then when I finished Egerton, an opportunity presented itself. And then, of course, I ended up coming to the UK. And ever since I've been living here, I've been in and out, in and out, and in and out, which is another story for another different time. And so, in between my coming to the UK and the current time that I'm in the UK, there's been ups and downs. I've heard great times in terms of health, but I've also heard really, really down times. There are times, particularly when I came over, if of course it was to study initially, and I had this kind of issues in my mind. I was just like, oh gosh, I'm so busy. I'm trying to study. I'm trying to get the degree, so I have to really give it my very best. And one of the things that heavily suffered during that time, obviously, was my health. I didn't look after myself well. I ate a lot of processed food. I most of the time didn't really care much. I was just like, well, as long as I'm full, that's the most important thing. And the worst case scenario at that stage was I was doing a degree in nutrition. And at some point, I got to a point when I finished the degree course, I was like, this is crazy. This is ridiculous. And of course, you know the saying, a doctor cannot doctor themselves. Sometimes doctors are the worst patients. Sometimes it could be that nutritionists are the worst people to look after themselves. I'm not suggesting that, but I'm just saying sometimes it could be. So if you are a nutritionist there and you're listening to this, don't say that I'm judging you because that's not what I'm alluding at. I'm just saying sometimes it's easier to tell people what to do than you yourself doing what you're asking people to do. And so I got to a point when my weight was really, 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 really going in the opposite direction. At that stage, we lived in London, And I was like, okay, by then gyms were really not cheap. They were expensive for sure. There was the times when you find like maybe in one town, one or two gyms. I remember where we were living, there was only maybe one or two gyms around. So I was paying close to £40 then, which it was just a basic gym. And I got to a point that I was just like, I really have to lose this weight. So I used to go sometimes like 3 hours in the gym. Sometimes I'll go to the gym in the morning, I go to work, and then I come back in the evening. I'm back to the gym. I was like kind of like me and myself. My life revolved around gym, work, sleep. And then I got to a point, of course, I got what I wanted. I was able to lose the weight I wanted, get back into shape. And not just the gym only, I also began to look at what I was eating so much. So I started to kind of be very careful when I was eating. I will check what I was eating. I tried to ensure that I wasn't like in a way eating processed food. I dropped off. I stopped drinking sugar. I just went cold turkey. I was working with somebody at work who was like, "Oh my gosh, I've been able to lose and to shade off quite a lot of weight just because I was able to stop eating sugar." And I was like, "Oh wow, it sounds interesting." So I jumped on the bandwagon. I stopped drinking sugar. So I started having like just in my tea, I'll just have black tea with a little bit of milk, and then from that milk, I will basically that will be like milk sugars were my sugar, and obviously I got to lose quite a chunk of weight because I took drastic measures then. Then I got to a point, an opportunity came, presented itself for me to go and study and do my PhD. And when I got to do my PhD, during that time of study, I was very conscious and aware because I knew I had already done something that I wasn't particularly happy about, and I just wasn't ready to go back into the place where I had been before. So I was a little bit more intentional, and I thought, Claire, we will do it right this way. We will try to be better. We will try to look after ourselves in a much better way. And so I was intentional about that. I started to think like, okay, what am I eating and things like that. But obviously, along the line, something did slip. And at that time, when I was before I went to do my PhD, my sister, I used to visit her in another city. And when I visited her, she was constantly like exercising up and down, running. She was always looking at what she's eating. And at that stage, I was really impressed. I was like, oh, wow, this is interesting. So when I got to that point, I was like, I feel like I need a little bit of losing weight. But obviously, I just was thinking like the best thing to do at this stage is to do it with somebody who has a bit of an idea, to do it with somebody. That's why I'm a strong believer in accountability partners, because if you have somebody you're doing it with, you don't want to make these people, to leave these people, to make these people become disappointed. So at the end of the day, you want to constantly do something so that you are making them happy, even if you don't want to do it. So I told my sister, and she was like, okay, we will do it this way. You will create an Excel spreadsheet. I didn't even know by then there was things like my fitness pal. So we created this sheet, and I could go out for a run with a couple of my friends. I had a friend, Winnie, Georgia Gogo. Those are people that we constantly, when we left work in the evening, will join up and then we'll do like running. George and Winnie were professionals, so they will do all their long journeys, the 10Ks, and I'll just follow along. Sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I'm tired, but I'm just like, I'm gonna follow on anyway. And then obviously at the background, my sister was helping me when I come back home. And when we had those cheat days, I will kind of not just go for it, eat whatever I want. But I was very religious when it came to the weekdays to ensure that I'm eating the right kind of food and fueling well. And within a span of 6 months, hopefully towards the end of this week, when I'm able to sort out all the technical issues, I will try to show some of my photos in between the journeys. So when it got to that point, as my sister was helping me, I ended up losing about 10 kilos in weight. I don't know how many pounds those are. And it just was in a span of 6 months. And I thought, wow, that sounds amazing. And I tried to keep it up. until it got to the point when I was actually writing my dissertation or my thesis. And I thought, I'm so busy. I'm busy to cook proper food. I'm busy to look after myself. And of course, it got to a point that the weight started creeping in. It wasn't a lot anyway. But then after that, I came back. When I came back, I was so determined. I was like, I have to do this. I have to keep doing it. And of course, I kept on doing my journeying along until 2017 when I had my lovely, beautiful boy. And of course, that just got to a point that my body again was just like, then I got to a point as like, Claire, we are doing this and we are doing this with, first of all, loving ourselves and then doing it knowing that you want to do it for the long term and understanding. I'm a very strong believer that God has given us our bodies. They don't come with any manuals. It's not something that will tell you that, Claire, you need to, in the morning, you have two slices of bread or whatever so that you can end up with this weight. Most of the way we live our healthy lives, we have guidelines, like in the UK, we have the Eat Well guide and things like that, the recommended daily allowances and intakes. But obviously, all those are guides and those are not like say you cannot say because it's a guideline I'm going to be staying and doing this every single day, and because I've been doing this every single day it's going to mean that at the end of the day I can be able to lose the weight. So obviously I kept on going to that. I got to a point and I was like, we have to do this probably for once and for all. So we have to devise a way that we can do this in the long run. And that's why if you've ever watched any of my YouTube videos, I'm a very strong believer. I constantly talk about marathons and not sprints. I now approach my life and live my life as though it is a marathon. And if you've ever seen people running marathons, or if you've ever been in a marathon yourself, you realize you can't start a marathon on the highest speed possible. Most of the time, you keep your speed for that marathon towards the end. Because if you start and you decide you want to start off day one bang on with speed, you're gonna burn out. And once you burned out, you're not able to continue to do it for the longer term. So I got to a point and I decided I was like, we will do this in the right way. We will do this correctly. We will put into place mechanisms, ways in which we can be able to do this in the long run. And that's where I picked up starting to walk again. So I could go in the morning because obviously I was big. As I said, I'm going to post some pictures towards the end. So if you want to see transformation, I promise you, stay on the challenge, wait until the very end. And obviously, if you do that and if you stay and if you wait until the end, I guarantee you, I'm going to be showing you a few pictures of myself in the end. So what I continue to do, and it's nice to see people joining online. I'm so thrilled to see you. Yeah, thank you so much, sis. I can see you. You are a superstar. I am just so amazed to see you online. And I mean, as I said, this just encourages me. As I said, this challenge. I want to do it, even if it's only for one person. I believe so strongly in changing one life at a time. Back to my story. So when it got to a point, I was like, I want to do this and I want to do it in the long run so that I don't have to constantly go to a place whereby I've gotten to a point I'm happy, I've lost enough weight, and then it falls off and I have to start again. So I started walking. I was about almost, yeah, 90 something kilos. I can't tell you exactly right now, but as I said, I'm going to be showing and sharing some videos at some point. So I got to a point and I was like, we need to do something about it. So I started just walking because obviously, if you are in a way you've added some weight, I will strongly advise against starting to run immediately because you are putting so much pressure on your joints, and that can actually result in injury. You don't want to start running because, again, your body is going to be heavy, as I mentioned, for the various bones that you have, and that will result in what is called injury. So I started just walking. So initially, I started with a slow pace, and then I started pacing it up. So I was doing like walking races, walking races, walking races, walking races, walking races. Eventually, because of the consistency and because I was determined, the weight started growing off. But now there was the other side of it, that I was now constantly looking at what am I eating, ensuring that I am eating healthily. I can't say that I dropped a lot in terms of the calories, but I changed the type of calories that I was consuming. So where I went all the way from eating dense food, more carbohydrate, and to be honest, I have to confess, I am a strong carbohydrate addict. I am very much addicted to carbohydrate. I love carbohydrate so much. And it's just one of those things that you get to a point that you get used to it, don't you? It becomes like a part of you. It becomes like um, it becomes like there is something in you that you just know, like you know it and you know it and you know it, that you are addicted to something. So for me, that was carbohydrates. I started to cut off a little bit, to change a little bit of my carbohydrate intake. So reducing a bit of the carbohydrate, increasing the protein, and just to make it simple and break it down simply for you guys without necessarily bringing in any science. I don't want to complicate this for anyone. When you eat carbohydrate, what happens is that the body has got this potential or the ability, because of what is called the glycolysis cycle. It actually can break down the glucose, and that's what produces the fuel, and that's the fuel that compels and propels you to be able to be alive and well. But when you eat protein, protein can be broken down into small peptides, and these peptides, or just small molecules, they end up into the intestines and they are absorbed into the body. When you eat fat, the fat is broken down. If you're eating a lot of fat, it's broken down into what are called ketone bodies, and those bodies they can easily, depending on how much fuel you've got there, how much carbohydrate you have, they can easily become fuel for your body. So given that I was much addicted onto carbohydrates, and getting to a point where I wasn't moving much, I got that all the weight that I had, and I got to a point I was like, we have to reverse this cycle. So I decided I'm gonna do things differently. So when I started walking, sorry, I started eating more carefully, and I'll talk a little bit about diet, watching what you eat, and using a diet diary. And I will demonstrate to you how I do it myself. I don't do that much nowadays, obviously, because I've gotten to the point where I feel comfortable enough to know what I want to eat and things like that. But obviously, that's something that I would love to kind of in a way talk to you about. I have a little bit of a problem with my internet connection. As I said, I had quite a lot of issues just even getting online in the first place, but hopefully that's going to be sorted when we come back tomorrow. So when I continue doing this, it got to a point I was like, okay, we've done this, and the weight is starting to come off. And then I started running. And now I built for myself a regime which is very straightforward. My life, I'm a part, I usually call myself a human being of patterns, a pattern human being. I love so much having patterns. I love following routine because I strongly believe if I have to follow a routine, and I'm a goal oriented person, if you've ever worked with me, or if you've ever been asked I don't know about my brothers and sisters, some of them I've seen one of my sisters online today. I am very much oriented in seeing results. And if I get to see those results, I get the motivation. And so that's why I chose to do things like running. Of course, I have been to the gym the whole of like, I think I just canceled my membership of the gym before COVID happened. And the moment we were allowed to go back into exercise and things like that, I mean, when they reopened, I already signed up for gym membership. And I continued signing up with it. I continued paying for the gym until December last year when we relocated and moved cities. And I came to this new city. And I realized because actually it's not a city, it's a town, it's a small village where we live at the moment. And this village is a beautiful village. I love my village. But of course, because it's a small village, it's a small town, we just most of the people who are there either they work at the university or they are related to somebody who works at the university, and that's how we ended up here. It means that at the end of the day, things here are slightly more pricey than compared to where we lived before, where there was numerous gyms. So I could afford to spend just about £16 to exercise, including classes. And here, even double that money, you will not be able to get a proper gym membership. But aside from that, I strongly believe even if I was to pay £100, whatever, for my health, I wouldn't really be bothered with that because health is wealth. You're better off investing money going to the gym than investing money going to the hospital because of diseases that you can actually prevent by exercising, diseases that you can actually prevent by watching after what you eat. And so this is some of the things that ended up motivating me when we moved down. And of course, besides that, I was still going to the gym, but maybe going to the gyms mostly in the evenings. So I did classes in the evenings, but in the morning I was going for a run. So my morning routine is usually very simple. I wake up in the morning, say my morning prayers, I read my Bible, and then after I finish that, I put on my running gear, open my door, gone. And I aim most of the time because obviously I've got school run, I've got a job to keep, and all those kind of things. I cannot be able to continually do 3 hours with the ones I used to do a long time ago for exercise. So my morning routine is usually just to do 45 minutes. Today I went in the morning, I posted a picture, and I think I'll try to find my phone and see if I can find that. So I posted a picture of myself in the morning when I went for my run. And to be honest, what I just did, um, it was like so simple. And at the end of the day, I just find myself going to play, and I'm going to show you what literally I recorded this morning. Hopefully, that's going to allow me to do that. So I go for just 45 minutes. So when I go for 45 minutes, let's see how this looks like for me. Um, I'll try to see if I can share that. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe shall I zoom in a little bit? But this is just my Strava. I've given you rights if you want to follow me on Strava. I'm more than happy to motivate you and cheer you on. But this morning I did just about 47 minutes, which is basically 45 minutes. And those 45 minutes, I basically did 8 kilometers because I was running. I wasn't running fast because I've had a few injuries, a few setbacks. I had a holiday. I don't know whether that was a blessing or not, but I needed it anyway. And since coming back, it's been a little bit of ups and downs. We all do have those days. But I did 8 kilometers, and from those 8 kilometers, I was able to, according to what Map My Fitness is telling me, I actually managed at the end of the day to burn, I'll tell you in a minute. Let's see. I burned about, it says about 600 calories, but to be honest, I think it's still keeping a record of what I used to weigh them days, as they used to say back home. Long time ago when I was still quite heavy. But then even if it's 300 calories, I don't really feel bad about it because if I eat my food, I know, as I said, and I'm coming back to this so that I can try to round up so that I will spend, it's about half an hour that I've been online. I would love to round up the recording so that I can have some time to answer questions for anyone who's online today. And as I was saying, what things that have helped me and the things that I've actually enjoyed from this whole journey is when I do the 45 minutes, even if I burn 200 calories, I'm not so much bothered about the calories because I'm much more doing this. I want to increase my stamina. I want to increase my strength. I want to increase my heart condition. And when I go out, like for example, as I just mentioned, we moved houses, we moved cities, moved jobs, everything new, new environment, new place, new colleagues, new office, new house, new everything, name it. And it can be a little bit daunting. It can be a little bit depressing. It can be a little bit, name it. And I can't tell you if I wasn't moving, if I wasn't going out, how I could have managed to go through that. There've been times when it's been mentally challenging. We've just come from winter in the UK. Thank God now it's summer kind of, and it's extremely hot. We're bubbling hot at the moment. But during those winter times, it can be very depressing. And for me, particularly going through that transition, going through those new seasons and leaving my comfort, my friends, my church, my community, my gym, so to say, my roots of running, where I was like, I could run in my sleep basically because I knew when I'm running, where I'm running, I had those roots that I didn't even need to bring my phone. Phone sometimes stayed at home whenever I needed to go for a run. I didn't even bother because I knew I had so many routes and I knew if I want to do 10 kilometers, I can use this route and I'm coming back to my house is 10 kilometers. But then it got to a point, it felt like all that was snatched away from me. Even though I made the decision to move jobs, it was my decision to move cities and things like that. But I felt like somebody had snatched something from me that I really loved, that I really, really cared for. And that being in that new environment and being in that new place and being in that new everything, it became so difficult, but because I religiously allowed myself to wake up in the morning, and honestly, I'm not kidding. Now I look forward to my morning runs. I look forward to my morning walks. Sometimes I just go for a walk. I've woken up in the morning and I've just gone for a walk, and in my heart I'm praying and I'm just looking at, wondering how beautiful the world is. And sometimes it can be tough, sometimes it can be challenging, and the stuff that happens. Sometimes you have good people, sometimes you have bad people, sometimes people are hurting us, sometimes we hurt people. And then I come back home, I do my morning routine, and off I go to work. And it's never been great. And the reason why I do this in the morning is when I started off in the new job, I thought, well, I'll try out because I didn't know the routes to run. And unfortunately, this because it's a very farming agriculture kind of environment, there aren't many routes. So at the end of the day, I was just either running in the road with cars and things like that. And I felt it wasn't really safe for me. So eventually, I just thought I'm not going to try to run in between my work day. And so that's why I run early in the morning. And of course, in the evenings, my routine can be so different. And I just don't want to put running out. Having said that, I've been out in the evenings for a walk. I've gone for walks with my boy, and we've gone 15 kilometers walk, and he just enjoys it. And one of the reasons why I am a strong believer, and I always say these reasons why I strongly believe doing these walks is one is free. I mean, I really, really strongly believe I don't have to pay to do this. As I said, I don't mind paying because at the end of the day, it is investing in health. And when you're investing in health, that's something that you will never realize. And so many of us, we are at this stage of our lives and careers where we are so much investing into following after like wealth and looking for money and looking for fame and looking for pleasure, all those amazing things. But I usually say don't do this at the expense of your health. And the best investment you can ever do is investing in your health. As I teach every single day, most, well, now we have vacation for students, but we're not on vacation. When I teach students, and particularly when I teach nutrition, I usually say we have been given a health bank. Every time you exercise, you are depositing in that bank. Every time you eat healthily, you're depositing in that bank. Anytime you take time out and rest, you're depositing in that bank. But some of us are really not taking enough time to deposit in the bank. So when it comes to the time of going to withdraw, we may, I believe, if you're online today watching live or watching later on or wherever, maybe at some point you have ever had a bank account, or you have heard of somebody who has a bank account, or your father or mother ever had a bank account. If you don't deposit money in an account, and then you wake up one day and say, I'm going to withdraw, I'm sure the bank will be looking at you and going like, boy, girl, what are you looking for here? Because you have no investment that you want to go and collect from them. And so is things like when we pray, so is the things when we do health related stuff. You might not see the difference today. I'm inviting you into my regime, into this challenge, to set yourself the goal and the target to do 5,000 steps a day. And I'm so glad I've seen messages of people that are privately messaging me, telling me, I have started exercising, I have started doing this, and I'm so, so grateful. And I'm cheering you guys on. But remember, you're doing those investments. And anytime you stop investing, just remember one day you'll get to a point where you will need to have to go back and get those investments. So imagine if you go to a place and decide it's a high time, I want to go and be able to invest to into withdraw. But now, in your investment bank, you have basically deposited nothing. And then you go into the bank and tell the bank, I need money. You might end up being arrested if you're lucky. They will let you go and say maybe you need to go to see a psychiatrist because they might think you're not 100% okay. And sadly, that's what a lot of us are doing, isn't it? When you're eating, try to think about what am I eating? When I'm eating this kind of food, which kind of investment am I making in my health bank? When I'm going for these 5,000 kilometers, 5,000 kilometers, I'm sure, well, 5,000 steps. How much am I investing into that? I've told you this morning I did about 8 kilometers, which I know that's approximately 8,000 steps. And I've been able, according to this app, I've been able to burn about 600 calories, plus or minus, it could be even 400. But then, because I've done, if you do 500, and depending, of course, where you're starting in your journey, if you're already fit, you might not be able to see much in terms of the calorie changes. But if you're not fit, you're still a little bit wanting to lose more weight, you might actually easily find just from that 5,000 steps, you're already able to put in a lot of investment in a sense that if you do this consistently, you will start to see differences. And I'm calling upon us not just to look at it for these 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 days that we are doing this together, but my hope and my desire is that you can be able to carry on doing this until the longer run. You can be able to continue to say to yourself, I will work. And as I said, honestly, it shouldn't be difficult. I spend 45 minutes of my day in the morning, And that's 45 days, 45 minutes of my day in the morning. Out of my 24 hours a day, 45 minutes I can easily put in 8,000 steps, sorry. And then for the rest of the day, if I'm start the whole day at my desk, I will not feel embarrassed at all. I will not feel bad about it because I know I've already deposited. So when I hit 40 and I need to go and start withdrawing, or when I hit 60, or when I hit 70 or 80, I know I've got something I've been putting in my health bank. And woe be unto us if we be found to be people that when we need to be withdrawing something out of our health bank, we get in there and there is nothing. That's where we end up with things like osteoporosis. We end up with things like cancers because our bodies are constantly being put in that negativity, in that negative cycle, and there is nothing that we are depositing in there. When we need to withdraw, well, it means is that we are always in overdraft, always in debt in terms of our health. And that's why today I'm just calling you. And I apologize, I made slides to talk about all these things. But obviously, it didn't work out. And I'll try maybe at some point to record those slides either on Zoom. If not, I will use them at some point and show them to you what I wanted to talk about. But I feel strongly that just sharing my story with some of you will be one of those ways of awakening that desire in you to say, I want to be able to still go out there when I'm 80, when I'm 90. God, please giving us the grace. But it starts with those decisions that we're making. And hopefully, I should be able to show you that you're not just doing this for 7 days, that I'm here to challenge you to do it. And obviously, I've got plans after we finish these 7 days. I've got things I'm thinking about. When I do some squats to strengthen our glutes, when I do some sit ups to strengthen our tummy muscles, we want to do so many different things, but it starts with a step. And hence the reason why I'm inviting you to do these 7 days of this step challenge. So that you're taking that step as you're making that step, we can even start doing it now. If I start that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. That's already 50 steps. It hasn't been a long thing, but I can feel my heart is already racing, which means I am already activating something in my emotions and in my beings and in my feelings. And obviously, that does help. And of course, once you've done that work, you will be exhausted if it's the first time you're doing it. And if you're exhausted, it means you'll have a better sleep because you'll be tired. You go to bed and you sleep like a baby, wake up tomorrow morning, and you're good to go. And so it's coming almost to 40 minutes of recording. And I don't want to continue to bring this to more than an hour because I want to try to hang around on Facebook. If there are any questions, again, you don't have to ask them on the chat, on the public. You can DM me, you can befriend me. I allow you to do that. You can DM me, and if you want, again, I've given you my details. If you want to follow me up on Strava so that I can be able to challenge you, encourage you, champion you up, please do that. Please do follow me. And don't miss tomorrow. Bring a friend along. Tomorrow will be exciting because I will start now to look at the other part. Today was just an introduction. I will look into things to do with energy balance, which is something again that is so fundamental if you ever want to lose weight, to maintain weight, or some people might want to gain weight as well. We all have different journeys and we all are doing different things. So if you desire, no matter what the desire is, tomorrow we'll start to go a little bit into more things like eating, things like maintaining. I'll talk about calorie, being in calorie deficit. What does that mean? I'll talk a little bit about the role of water, why you need to be hydrated as well. We'll talk about diet diary. I'll show you how I do my own. We'll talk, there is so much that I have been preparing, and I put like a whole program for the whole week. So please do not fail to attend. If you know somebody that you feel they can benefit from being here, or from this recording, share with them, spread the good news. As I say, this is my gift to you. I spend obviously quite some time learning the things that I'm talking about, and not in textbooks. Of course, I've invested the degrees and the money, but most of the things that I want to share with you are my personal life. Like what I've talked to you about today has been my personal experiences, and you can ask anyone who knows me. They know how it has been sometimes a difficult journey. I think about it and I feel a little bit of a tear wanting to come out of my eye, because I feel privileged enough to be able to talk about what I'm talking about today, not just because I have studied it. It's not head knowledge, but it's something that has transformed me. It's something that has moved from just knowing into applying it to my day-to-day life, that I wake up nowadays when sometimes even I don't need an alarm to go off before I'm up, because I know I'm looking forward to stepping out. I'm looking forward to going and run, of course, to do the free exercise, and then we will do the rest as God gives us the grace. Thank you once again, all of you who've joined today, all of you who'll be watching this on rebroadcast later on, whatever. And I'm gonna end the live video, and I will hang around for another couple of minutes. If anybody has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them in the chat. Thank you, everyone, and have a lovely evening.